Hello, hip hoppers. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Deep News. Today I have JOJO Zolina with me, and he is a hothead, and I'm very excited to have him here and interested in hearing about how he got started out in voguing, walking, and a myriad blend of other movements that he's into. Hello.
Hey.
How are you today?
Good.
Very good. It's nice to have you. A lot of us out here are wondering about you and House of La Douche.
It started back in 2007. After working with House of Danger Cat, I came up with my own house called House of La Douche. It's a collective of dancers that just wants to know more about waacking and voguing and the ball scene in New York City.
Okay.
Now it's bigger now, like a bigger crew. It used to be just four of us.
Okay.
So House of La Douche is just the first waacking voguing crew in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Canada.
Wow.
In Canada.
The whole country.
It's new, right? It's brand new.
Right.
So just a bunch of dancers that I believe in, that I think that's really very, very talented in the city. And I put them all together and come up with the concepts and just sharing waacking and voguing culture in Vancouver.
Okay, that sounds amazing. So now that you've kind of been in this game for a minute, what would you define waacking as? What is the difference between waacking and voguing and walking? What are they?
Waacking is a funk style.
Okay.
It's a mixture of voguing and locking.
Okay.
It made it popular by Shabadoo
Okay.
from back in the 80s.
So you're bringing some people up.
Yeah,
you know,
like
some-
Shabadoo and Tyrone Protocol from the 80s too. It was part of like the voguing
Okay.
crew with Willa Ninja and Archie Burnett.
Okay.
Those are the people that taught me.
Okay.
Well, I took their classes and the walk, yeah, and then add the arms to it. Just feeling the music first, yeah. You really slow with it, and then you get comfortable. Just get wild, you know. Okay. In 2003, I was at the B-Boy Summit. In 2003 or 4 or something like that. Brian Green came up to me and said, "Hey, you're a whacker." I was like, "What's waacking?" I didn't know nothing about it. I was doing African dancing and just like, doing like
yeah.
hip hop movements.
Your
but
own kind of thing.
yeah, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know nothing about waacking at all.
Right.
So I started researching on it. So I studied it for two years, and then people just like ask me, "What is that? What is that in
Yeah.
Vancouver?" So I'm like, "Can you teach us that?" I'm like, "I can't teach you. I don't know nothing about it." So I was just like, "Okay, cool. Let's just do this. Just have fun with it."
Right.
And then it became really popular in 2006. Somebody picked me up and told me to teach in Calgary for a workshop, and so I taught it there, and then that's when House of Danger Cat evolved.
Okay.
Because Katie Pascolato is a dancer and a designer.
Okay.
So we did a fashion show, I choreographed a fashion show for her, and it got picked up from New York. So people from New York told them to perform in New York.
Oh wow.
And then the people from Paris saw them perform in New York,
and
and it just like went
from there.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
we didn't really expect anything from it. We just did it because we love it. So yeah, I'm a hip hopper.
Okay.
I listen to hip hop. I dance hip hop from the beginning, and I did folk dancing.
Okay.
Yes, African dancing, Western African dancing, most of it, and Thai dancing. That's where I got the hand movements, and then for my footwork, I did a lot of my Filipino folk dancing because we did a lot of footwork in my back in the days when I was a kid. So that's my training. So I kind of like naturally to me when I listen to hip hop and I dance, most of those folk dance movements, comes up out of me, and it's like, and people think that I'm doing house dancing, I'm doing whacking dancing, and I was doing voguing, and I'm like,
And you're doing
that,
you.
I'm doing Thai dancing, Filipino folk dancing, and African dancing. That's where it came from. That's where I came from. That's my training. So after that, I moved to Vancouver, and I got I was able to work with a modern company in Vancouver. So I trained with 4 different dance companies there, which I was blessed with. So I learned more about dancing, how to breathe properly, how to use my facial expression. So when I do my voguing and whacking and hip hop or crumping or whatever that is, I have my facial expression going because you feel it more when you have that face, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so I don't really know how to define myself as a dancer because I guess I'm a folk dancer. I don't know
Right.
because that's where I came from.
And what would you say to all of the dancers out there who are inspired by whacking or walking or voguing? What would you say to them?
Just do what you feel inside, you know, like, you know, what feels right. You feel it in your gut, you know. It's like if you think that this is for you, do it, you know. But if you just want to play around with it for now, like, you know, you don't know if it's for you, just play around with it and you'll find your niche and what you need in life and what you can do with your stuff, with your dancing or whatever you're doing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. Thank
No
you,
problem.
Deep Side.